Welcome to episode 30 of New Indian Woman podcast, airing first in the second half of November 2020, and I'm your host Krishna. Today's is a very different kind of episode. We are going to examine the challenges faced by women at workplace. And for this episode, I spoke to women of different profiles in terms of age group, stage in life, area they work in, and so on. I felt this would be a very interesting way to listen to the challenges, instead of me translating and sharing based on my research and interactions alone. Are we talking about similar challenges or different? Does it change with age or the so-called seniority? And it is not just talk about the challenges. They also share how they overcame some of these challenges. I hope you will benefit from listening to this, regardless of what you do, at what stage in life you are. So let us go to these wonderful ladies. This is the question I asked to all of them. What do you think are the additional challenges women face at workplace as compared to men? First of all, do you think there are additional challenges women face at workplace? Let us first hear from Ramya, a young IT professional working in Bangalore. She has been in the IT field for almost 5+ years, married. Ramya believes there are additional challenges for women, especially on time management.
Being a married working woman, one main challenge that I have faced is the working hours and how to maintain a perfect balance between personal and professional life.
Why isn't that the same for the man and the woman?
Like household work, which as a woman you're supposed to take. I'm not saying that it's not applicable for men, but yeah, maybe the cooking and other cleaning, which is majorly confined to be done by a woman. In general society. So considering that factor, yes, managing the household work as well as the professional work is a bit challenging.
In the IT industry, I am aware that there are many roles. It's not as if you take up one particular role. Maybe every year or so, it is almost like you are getting into a new job because the dimensions of the job may change. So in such things, do you feel there is any difference in terms of being a woman?
Yes, I have seen many cases where just because being a woman, you are being denied of a role or a position or a project, to be specific, because that demands late working hours. Say you are working for a US client, there is a preconception that okay, she is a lady and she won't be able to stretch maybe after 10 o'clock. So even if you say that, no, I can somehow manage it, but the acceptance from the other side is a little bit, skeptical. They are a little bit skeptical.
So you're saying there is a preconceived notion that because you are a woman, you may not take up something which is more demanding in terms of working hours.
Yeah.
Whereas a man doesn't have to face that. Okay. And what is your view, being a young woman of today's world? Okay, not only your own experience. When I speak to you, I'm also referring to people of your age group, of your profile, whom you interact with a lot. What do you feel in terms of choices made by women when it comes to, especially married women, in such kind of projects, in such kind of career requirements? What do you feel is the woman expected to align with the husband's career? At least 20 years back, that was the case. I am curious to know, how is it now?
See, I think to an extent now also that exists.
Ramya talks about how when she got married, there was no expectation from her family to move to the place where her husband was residing. And she calls her family was very supportive in terms of this decision.
To be very frank, my family was very supportive, especially maybe my husband or my mother-in-law. They were of the opinion that I don't have to sacrifice my career just to be in the same place where he is. They had given me enough freedom to choose it. But from the society, you get so many questions like, is your job more important than your personal life?
Because the stereotypical thing is that the married woman shifts to be with the man.
Because of the pressure from the society, you you will be bound to take a decision. I would say that had happened with me, and I had to quit my job in Chennai, and I had been shifted to Gurgaon, where again to find a new job it was very challenging because, as you know, IT sector. I mean. If you go and stand in the queue for an interview, there will be 1,000 people in front of you who belong to the same profile or with the same experience. So cracking a job was not easy for me, and being jobless, it makes it more difficult.
You're saying the societal expectations that the woman makes compromises in terms of a different role, in terms of not having a job, or in terms of shifting to a completely new area. All those things still remain.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
So let us come back to the time management challenge that you said. How did you overcome it? What are the new techniques, or what is it that has helped you handle that particular challenge better?
Initially, it was very challenging for me when I joined as a fresher. Saying no was, something which I was really scared of, to be very frank. Okay, saying no, as in we can actually prioritize the importance of the, say, late night meetings, or there are always an alternative, like you can request to attend them from home. Right. Or you can explain your personal things and maybe demand a work from home when it is actually necessary. But yeah, the question is, how do you present it in front of them, and to what extent they are ready to accept that. So initially I didn't approach anyone because I was scared to. I was scared to even ask them, like, is there an option where I can go home and attend this call? Because I was a fresher.
You were a fresher, and you feel it will be seen as a weakness,
or it might affect my career path.
Right.
Maybe a colleague who is not a man, he is ready to extend till 12 o'clock, but just because I say that it's not safe to travel at night 10 o'clock, so let me attend the call from home. I thought that might not be taken in the right sense. So, but many cases, I think we should give it a try.
Right. So that has helped, is what you are saying. So that was Ramya, a young married IT professional, talking about the disadvantages she has as a woman over other men, and how saying no is a technique to address time management challenges. So now let us move on to the next person. Let us listen to the views of Sri Bala, an IT professional in her late 20s and also a young mother of a 3-year-old. Sri Bala, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Sri Bala also starts talking about how she had to shift after 1.5 years of work when she got married and moved to Chennai, thereby losing out on the experience and the promotions and whatever was due for her. You are talking about a break and a shift in the career, maybe not driven by the role requirement, but because you are a woman and there is the need to
shift to my husband's place.
So maybe your initial 1.5 year kind of gets nullified when you are starting a job afresh.
Absolutely. Even if you are working in the same organization, there is no way our experience, that 2 years of experience, like our feedback will not be transferred to the new manager.
Correct. It is like you are starting afresh. You don't get the benefit of that experience.
I have just started my career then, and that itself, like, I had to face a big challenge which I had not anticipated it before.
Okay. Now, so many years of experience behind you and a kid, what do you think are the additional challenges you face at workplace?
I'm currently working in Chennai. So I worked in my organization for another 2 years, and then I got pregnant. So again, it was like I had to take a long break. Things that happen in IT companies, like, which is not shared, is like, if you are going to like maternity leave, if you are going to take a long gap.
Sri Bala talks about the annual grading or rating that happens, which is not given for a person who is going out on maternity leave. So all the effort that you put in those 2 years, you may have put in extra hours, you may have done a lot of hard work, okay, that benefit you don't get. And somebody who may not have put in that much effort in your team, he or she may get that grade just because you are going on maternity leave.
Absolutely correct.
Fine. Now let us come back. You leave, you are joining the workplace again.
So it's just like again I have to restart.
Yes.
Again, when I go to work at my office, also like our the work before child and the work after child is totally different. Because before I was able to put in all my when I'm at office, my mind also will be at office only. There will be no
Right.
distractions, absolutely.
In terms of your ability to focus is one thing you are saying. And also maybe in terms of the flexibility to stay back and volunteer to do the extra work and things like that, right?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Because in the initial days, it was like my son was also facing so much difficulties.
So for the benefit of others, so in IT, taking off for 1 year, 6 months is a privilege. Definitely it is a privilege in terms of being able to take so much maternity leave as compared to so many other sectors where it is only maybe 3 months. So having been in the IT sector, I can share my own experience for my daughter. When I gave birth to my daughter, I had to join back within 3 months. So later on, the IT industry has also evolved, and for everybody else, it may feel, oh great, 6 months, 1 year, lucky people. But this is where Sribala is sharing that also comes with its own challenges.
Yeah, so like the initial days, like till he got adjusted a little bit was very difficult for me. Like when I'll just try to engage him with something else and I'll just leave the house without letting him know that I'm leaving for the day. So it was very difficult actually initially, but then after 6 months or so, he got adjusted.
This despite you saying you had very good setup to take care of him. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So there are people who have not enough support from the family to take care of a baby. These are the feelings, these are the emotions you go through, the challenges you face, even though that support is there. It's not as if somebody is there to take care of the baby, then why should I bother kind of a thing. That doesn't happen. Coming to now. So now your son is 3 years old. And what are the challenges you face now as a woman? Do you think there are challenges as compared to men? Or has it got leveled now?
According to my viewpoint, again, I face few challenges like since I am a mother, because it's like every day I have to come back home, like to feed him the dinner or like to make him sleep. I would say it is not always a father's role. Like, I mean, at least in my scenario, it is considered to be a mother's role, like at least doing the like late night calls for him. I would say in that words. And another thing is like after 9 and all, it's very difficult to stay at office, like leaving my son at home, even though I'm like I know like he is in safe hands. It make that feeling itself makes me uncomfortable, and he will be staying awake till I reach, even if it is like if I have some very bad deadlines and all and I'm working for it, I'll be reaching home like by around 11:30. Till that he remains awake actually. So that feeling itself makes me like I would say I would feel very bad actually.
Do you think your husband in the same place would feel bad about staying back at office at till 10, 11, etc.? You people may have discussed amongst your friends these kind of challenges. So what is your general feeling?
I don't think so. It's always the women who consider it as very bad. Thank God, like my family is there to support me, to look after my son. At least I'm able to stretch till 11. I see my other peers, the children would be there in completely, strangers' hands. They would feel very uncomfortable even to stay back after 7, 8 and all.
So regardless of the time, whether it is 7 or 8 for someone who is dependent on a hired help, and maybe 11 or whatever when a project demands it, in your case where there is family support, maybe what we need to think upon is it is a challenge which is in the front of the woman only. Yeah. Whereas the same scenario, the same house, maybe the husband doesn't face that challenge of the child waiting for him to come back, or that guilt ruling, disturbing him when he is in office. Tell me, so these challenges when you face this, How do you overcome that? To this question, Sribala's response was something which moved me. She said she started explaining to the child as to how she has to go to office and she'll come home in the night. And she said, now he's in a place to understand. He knows that I'll come home, that I have to work, and the child understands. Remember, we are talking about a 3-year-old. I am not sure if that should be the answer or recommendation for all parents. If we have to make a 3-year-old understand that no matter if it is 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the night, I will come back home, and expect the child to understand that, isn't something wrong?
He knows, like he does not know the other weekdays and all, but he knows, like I would say on Friday, like tomorrow is Saturday, so he'll be happy.
Okay.
He doesn't know Monday to Friday and all, but he knows Friday to
Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah.
Sribala then went on to talk about the new kinds of projects that challenge her, that interest her, that come up in her field, and most often these are on-site projects, which is very typical in IT industry. So one has to be flexible to go on-site and work on any project from anywhere in the world. And obviously, she says it's not possible for her.
Going to on-site and working, leaving the child at home is not at all, I would not say feasible and all. It's not at all a feasible option. In my case, at least, it's not acceptable. Probably I'll just frame it like that.
So we discussed what makes you frequently feel you are at a disadvantage. Now tell me, are you more inclined to take a project or a role which demands less from you just because you know your family needs are a priority?
Yes, absolutely. Because like when I was searching for a like project opportunity, new project opportunity, so there was one project, like which demands like a little bit of long stretching hours, I would say. So I completely denied that project just because I have to come back to home at time, like, so these are the challenges which I face. Like it is totally unsaid, because usually when we just compare the career of a man versus a woman. So, but these are the unsaid challenges, like these and all like comes to our mind whenever we search for a new opportunity, like whatever it may be, starting from a project, starting from the location, like in Chennai city and all, we have various locations across which IT companies are spread. So even I prefer to choose a work location which is very near to my home, just for the benefit of returning back to home by time,
Some decent time, yeah.
Yes, because I can't afford to put so much for traveling time and all.
Right. So in these cases, even if someone wants to grow well, when I say grow, I am referring to that term, not in terms of promotion and growth and next position kind of a thing, but even in terms of the satisfaction of, contributing in a project that interests you, using your skill set effectively. There are compromises that a woman has to make, is what you are saying.
Yes, absolutely. Correct.
Okay. Maybe at the end of 10 years, 15 years, when you look back, it's in terms of the satisfaction of having had a successful career. It's not in terms of what position you achieved and how much money you made. It is also about whether you were able to do justice to these choices and opportunities that you came your way.
Yeah. Correct. Like it would be about like whether I have showcased like all the like talents or abilities which I had like completely to my so and so project. I mean, it is also a satisfaction, right? Like showcasing all the talents which you have, like positioning yourself into the right opportunity. If that doesn't happen, I would term it as a compromise only.
Do you still think the challenges that you have are the same as a man, or do you feel as a woman working from home there are additional challenges?
I think it is quite, now it has been the same for a man and woman, at least in my scenario.
Yeah. So maybe I'm hearing it from many people as well. So maybe that is one solution. Yeah. Let's see.
Because when we are at home, each and every family member would also see like as working. So it's like more or less, at least in my case, my husband and myself put almost like equal amount of work, I would say, like both in office work as well as in personal work. So for example, we started sharing our course actually, like, so it is now becoming more smooth than before.
Excellent. Way to go.
Yeah.
In today's episode, we spoke to young women in the IT industry, talking about different kind of challenges. They represent a very small percentage of Indian women working in metro cities in new age workplaces. Still, we hear about references to expectation for women to do the household chores, the role of mom in doing chores around the child, and whatnot. They talk about them being denied opportunities at workplace, not because anyone is denying it, but the social setup makes them as women say no and limits their choices. And look at this. Young women are feeling bad about the fact that they are unable to stay back and work after 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., which a man is able to do. What does it talk of our workplaces? I believe they are not human friendly at all, but it is indeed a double whammy for the women. They talk about interesting ways in which they address these challenges, sometimes by saying no, sometimes by being clear on what they want to do or not. In a future episode, we will examine the challenges from women of a different profile, mothers of young and older children. What kind of challenges do you think they will talk about? And what is it that you would like to share in this context? Feel free to write to me at krishna@thenewindianwoman.com. So with that, we come to the end of another episode of New Indian Woman. See you again in the next episode. Remember, you are what you want to be, and the time starts now.